Salutations everybody, Dreamforge here back with another build guide for Battle Brothers. The name Cityguard is inspired by Warhammer Fantasy. I played a lot of Warhammer or the Games Workshop hobby, like the small tabletop figures you paint and then you play on a big table against each other. I know, very nerdy stuff. I played the Dark Elves, basically the evil version of elves in that fantasy universe. And they had a very cool troop type. It called the Cityguard. It was a dark elf warrior with a halbert and a crossbow, and they were always standing behind the normal dark elf warriors with shields and spears. So they were just like shooting all the time, and when some enemies came close and got into melee with the front line, they just poked from the back and supported. And I think you can actually make this build in Battle Brothers 2. And on top of that, I think crossbows are very strong, or you can make them very strong. I saw some videos and some fights where people use that, especially when you get the famed crossbow. It's just one-shot goblins. Every round, 2 goblins die from one crossbow user. They're maybe not that great against undead, undeads don't really care, they just get rest. Maybe sniping some necromancers, who knows. In most fights against normal enemies, they're pretty good. Skill-wise, how do you skill that guy? He's in the backline, and therefore I would do this first, then I would go for safety. I would take this pretty early, and then I would rush this actually. Because you will use a crossbow basically right away, and this makes your crossbow just hit harder, and you just build up less fatigue. Crossbows, they need a lot of fatigue. Then I would do this, switching to a pike or having a net out is obviously very good. And then I would do my defensive perk. Those bros are nimble. And then I would go right into damage. Berserk, Killing Frenzy, and Fearsome. And this is how far it goes. I would say this is the template what you have to have. This is how this build works. I would actually advising, if you have those bros, I would try for a more range focus run, maybe you start with poachers and you make all 3 poachers Cityguard dudes. You have very early on 3 dudes with those crossbows. You will be absolute nightmare for raiders, You might not be able to snipe those marksmen, but everything that doesn't have a shield is dead, basically. So, because crossbows are kind of accurate. And if they have this, they even ignore more armor. You have a lot of options now. You can say, this is very fatigue heavy. My bro doesn't have that much fatigue. I do this and this. So not only I build less fatigue when I move, I can move better in bad terrain, like for example in swarms. On top of that, I have like recover. This could maybe an option. I'm not sure if you have to use this, but this is an option. You can go with the patch up defensive option. Maybe your poacher has very bad resolve, but you don't want to give him every round, +3 resolve to fix the resolve. You just take this and you're done with it, right? And this would of course increase the strength of Fearsome. And then you take maybe this. You get just less hit. If you find yourself putting your Cityguard in poor situations, you can of course take this if you want. I'm not the biggest fan of footwork, but I mean, if you find yourself being in melee a lot and you don't want to be that, then this could be a way out. You have room for this. You can take this if you really want. And the last option, this is not my preferred way, but you could say, I take Pathfinder and I take Bags and Belts. This would make the Cityguard a little bit more of a supporter. You would now have more room to work with. This would support you in moving around a lot. So then you would have maybe a smoke pot. You would maybe have another net. You maybe would have a fire pot, a flash pot, whatever you want. I wouldn't do this. It is just an option. You can take whatever you want. There is even a way when you say, I really want to act first. I really want to amplify this usage of nets or shooting and injuring enemies. You could actually do this. But I don't know how strong this is if you're not scale initiative. Or you could say, I injure with crossbows a lot. You will. And this could always be then the tipping point damage to actually kill a target then. Especially if every one of your crossbow users has that. This would just mean that you would often get a lot of value out of this. You will hit HP damage a lot. I just keep it like that. I just like taking perks that you rarely use. This is kind of cool actually. Yeah, gear-wise, I think you already saw this. This is a nimble dude, right? This is just anything armor that you find, just bolts. I think those crossbows you kind of get early on. You can take any reach weapon. I like to take them early on because they do good damage, and moving 2 tiles and then hitting is sometimes pretty cool. And they get quick hands rather early and therefore a net. I gave you 2 late game options. You always want to have this big thing. I mean, you will shoot 2 times sometimes, so you want to have those extra bolts, you know. This is the best nimble helm you can buy, basically. This is just very good nimble armor. Then this is just the normal heavy crossbow. That thing hurts regardless. You could of course use that. A bill hook and then a net. And the other thing could be the spiked impaler. This is the weapon from the overseers, from the goblins. If you want to have more control or you range focus, this just kicks some enemies back. This could sometimes lead to very cool plays, you know. Kicking an enemy out of reach to hit one of your vulnerable guys. If you have a bro who has insane melee attack, you can take a long axe too. They hit very hard, they do actually more damage than bill hooks. And I would only advise this if you have very high melee attack. We're talking 75, 80. Attribute wise, it's not that simple, sadly. You want to, of course, level every level range attack. You have to have high range attack. But the good thing about crossbows is you don't need like 100, but you need some level of melee attack, you know? Because sometimes you really want to use those. So you want to aim for, I would say, at least 70-ish, you know? Maybe even higher if you can get that. And then you level fatigue. You don't have to level fatigue every turn, but I would take all the high rolls. And then sometimes you get this +5 roll to HP maybe, or you get this +5 roll to range defense, then you just take those. You don't have to prioritize this, but having at least a little bit of HP obviously will save your life. We talked a lot about variations, the gear, the attribute points. It's basically all you need. This again could be very cool if you play maybe a poacher run, or you want to try out having a very strong mid-game army where you have just 4 poachers and just sniping everything. You would always be in the situations where the enemies basically always have to come to you, and everything that doesn't have a shield is just dead or will die very, very fast. You can just shoot, you know, and then move 1 tile back, reload. You can postpone that they come to you. It's just a different way of playing. At some point in the later stages, this will not be strong enough, I'm pretty sure. But I saw people who were clearing out even the highest camps, and they had 1 or 2 dudes from them with famed crossbows, and they were absolutely doing fine. Yeah, have fun with this build. I will probably try this out at some point, maybe when I do like the poacher run, maybe my next run. I'm currently playing a cultist run, which you will be seeing in the VODs when I upload them. I wish everyone fun with this build. I will probably have that. I love ranged weapons, just killing anything that is dangerous from afar and don't have to deal with that in melee. Sounds absolutely appealing to me. I wish everyone a great day. Have a good one.